Good afternoon to you all, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come from Europe, to come over here and talk to you about the HERO projects. The first thing that I need to explain to you is that these activities are not projects that you would understand in a regular industrial environment. So it's not you undertake a project, you reach the goal, and you put the project to one side, job completed. These particular projects, HERO 1 and HERO 2, have an indefinite lifespan in the fact that every member state who undertakes the project has to give a written undertaking that at the conclusion of each of the stages of the project, they will continue to deploy eCall. So it follows on from what Marcel-san was just saying, is that when HERO 1 finishes in 2013 and HERO 2 at the end of 2014, already there will be 15 countries out of the 27 in Europe and some other countries beyond the boundaries of Europe that will be capable of receiving eCall equipped vehicles and dealing with them in a standardised way. So, this is what I propose to talk about today. Tell you a little bit about eCall in Europe, then explain a little bit about the pre-deployment projects and how they're structured, how I think eCall will evolve in Europe and beyond, and then wrap it all up at the end of that. Okay, eCall in Europe. eCall for Europe is not new. It's been in existence since about the year 2000, but was mainly provided by the European vehicle manufacturers such as BMW, Mercedes, Volvo, and it was provided as a paid-for service. So a vehicle owner would pay a subscription each year. Now, make no mistake, these particular devices are very effective, quite advanced, some of them, but there is one weakness with all of them. It's that little bill that you get at the end of each year, because if you forget to pay, no service. So, it was noticed up to about 2004 that the majority of the volume car makers in Europe had tried and had failed to bring eCall to the mainstream. So it wasn't really catching on. But what we did know was that eCall did save lives. It does make a difference. So, in an assessment, the European Commission made a bold decision that they would mandate that eCall would be fitted to all new passenger cars and light trucks. There are new models from 2015. And not only that, it would be based on the universal emergency number in Europe, 112. So, the effect of that is that you have a universal emergency number which is now interacting with an M2M device and is free for all to use at the point of need. But the one thing that we mustn't forget is that there are already a great number of eCall devices out there in the market. So one of my requirements is to make sure that those existing systems from Volvo, BMW, Mercedes and others will continue to coexist. They're not being shut down. So what does eCall in Europe look like? Now, Marcel has already described briefly, there are three key elements. You have the in-vehicle system. That's it. Mobile network. Yeah, it's okay. And the public safety answering point. This is the single point that is usually provided by a member state government where the 112 call is received. So those three key elements, that's what makes eCall work in Europe. That's what standardizes it. So, to prepare for 2015, the European Commission decreed that there would be initially Hero 1, which is a pre-deployment project. And its task is to do the following. Let's just try this one now. No, that's not working either. To define the standards, and you've already seen the slide that Marcel has put up, with all of the published standards, every single standard that either a Tier 1, a Tier 2 supplier, a vehicle manufacturer, a mobile network operator, or a PSAP operator are all published. They are all available. They are all set. But what Hero had to do was to check, in the real world, do these standards work correctly? And the answer is, well, yes, most of them do. But in real world, there are a few that need to be altered slightly. We then needed to check that the in-vehicle systems work. And this is why so much important cooperation is taking place with the partners that you see in the room today. And then the readiness of the mobile networks in Europe. The European Association of Mobile Network Operators was one of the first signatories to the Memorandum of Understanding for eCall. They fully support, but the mobile network operators will not upgrade their systems until the end of 2015. But already the Hero projects have indicated that this is something that they need to think about a little bit sooner. And then the continuity of the service. The most important part, and one of the cornerstones of Europe, is that wherever you go in Europe, and as you know, there are only borders on the outside of Europe, wherever you travel in Europe, you use the single number 112, the service you get must be the same. So irrespective of what language you speak, where you come from, the service you get must be the same. But then we started to look at both the PSAP, and that has its own difficulties. But then the last point was that we recognise that whilst new cars, and it's all very nice to have a nice new shiny car from 2015, I personally won't be, but that's an awful lot of cars that are still there that we can do nothing about. So one of the important tasks for us is to look at actively developing aftermarket devices that will fit robustly and simply in existing cars. Now, I've spoken about the Hero project. In fact, there will be 2 Hero projects. So come the 1st of January, I will have 15 countries to look after and 82 partners. So I won't be spending much time at home. But what we have found, whilst these projects have been starting, is that the interest, the impetus from the European Commission and the European Union has been such that member states who are not part of Hero have now been approaching me and saying, look, we know that we need to change the way that our systems work. We want to work with the Hero projects because the expertise that the Hero projects now have ensures that virtually any member state in Europe who wishes to upgrade and will have to upgrade to eCall, if they follow us, then they can achieve that with the least amount of difficulty. So currently I have 5 additional pilot sites that will work with me, and another 5 that are negotiating. So some of the sites are actually outside of Europe, Turkey and Israel being 2 as an example. But we're getting very close to 25 sites, and there will be 2 possibly that need to be brought into the fold. I'll put these up. The actual objective for Hero is very simple. It's to bring eCall to life. The other parts are all very nice, and we're to support this and do that, but this is what we're there for. We bring eCall to life for Europe. This is a picture of the sites that we currently have, and already this picture is out of date. This was done actually on Monday, but since that, Iceland and Estonia have now indicated they wish to become part of the associate pilot sites, and I have Poland, Portugal, Lithuania, and one other country who are now actively looking to join. Now, what are the technical areas for the Hero projects? Now, you've already heard that the concentration should be for M1 and N1 vehicles. So that's vehicles up to 8 seats, including the driver, and trucks less than 3,500 kilo. But we want to do more. So we want to look at trucks, large trucks. Now, usually, truck on the road is a relatively safe item, but it's what it carries is what presents the problem. So we need to look at dangerous goods. Motorcycles, scooters, mopeds, you have lots of them on your roads here, but in Europe, huge problem. They are one of the most vulnerable road user groups that we have, with the exception of pedal cyclists. So we're actually looking to build an eCall device that will actually deal with the rider, not the machine. So it's a subtly different application. Location technologies. We have a number of GNSS systems in the northern hemisphere that we use, and we've actually found that by combining them, so for instance using the Russian system GLONASS and the American GPS, you get enhanced location accuracy, not time to first fix. But there is a huge amount of interest in linking together the Galileo systems when they come online with either GPS or with GLONASS, and what the effect of those will have. Hero will test Galileo in the middle of next year for a short period of time because there aren't quite enough satellites. But the other problem that we have is cross-border. Now, obviously, we're meant to have no borders in Europe, but we do. And you have to ensure that with a 112 call, the call goes to the right country. Now, we have some very small countries in Europe. Luxembourg is an example, that it's only 50 kilometres from top to bottom. So no matter where you are, if you dial 112, it'll go to another country, which does present us with some problems. Some other member states did offer to look after their 112 calls, but Luxembourg didn't really want that. So we have to ensure that technology can be brought forward that will actively say, no, this call needs to go to this country. And already, with the partners we have in the front of this room, we are pioneering active enhancements that will make this happen. I've already spoken about aftermarket devices, and already there is one aftermarket device which has been developed by one of my partner countries. 2 partner countries have set a target of €50 as a device to buy, and another one at €20 to buy. And the reason being is that their casualty rates are so poor that they have to do something to try and bring the casualty rates down. The last item on this list is certification. What that means, basically, is that when an in-vehicle system is fitted to a vehicle, we need to know that it's going to continue to work as it should for the lifetime of that vehicle. So how do we achieve that? And that work will start in earnest on the 1st of January. Hero timeline. This is where we are now on the project. I couldn't get it much closer to the end of 2012. Could put some tinsel or something in between. But we have completed our first phase of operational testing, and we are about to go to the second operational phase. So the first phase was very much an in-vehicle system with a laptop or a separate PSAP. Now, the second phase will be vehicles fitted with in-vehicle systems, travelling throughout Europe, making calls, being received in PSAPs. So really exciting stuff. And at the same time, Hero 2 starts. So next year for me will be a very, very busy year. These are the current pilot sites that we have. Now, I currently have 8 active sites. I should have 9, but I don't, I'm afraid. And the sites that you see here, Czech Republic and Croatia, are actually live now. If you had an eCall equipped vehicle with pan-European eCall and triggered it, they would work. They are dealing with it now across the whole country. Netherlands aren't far behind, and Italy are probably about 6 months behind that because they have a completely new PSAP architecture. For the other countries, Romania, again, completely active, right the way across the whole country. Sweden, not yet. Finland, they could implement and could be active, but are now building a new PSAP system. Germany, that's a unique problem. They do have one area of Germany where it is completely active, but they have 362 separate emergency answering points, all of which have to be upgraded. But I'm very pleased to say that the solution that was developed in Hero is actually in this park now, which is quite some achievement. Greece, there is no activity. I'm sure you're aware of all of the problems they have, but they should be starting by April next year. Now, you can see these are the amount of tests, roughly, that we've been carrying out. Overall, as you can see, we're well over 10,500 different types of eCall. If you add this to the testing which has been carried out by the makers of the in-band modem, which again is another 15,000 eCalls, there are an awful lot of testing that's been taking place. Now, one of the key areas with the eCall and what makes eCall so different is the minimum set of data, which has already been explained. But it needs to be delivered to the PSAP in a timely manner. And currently, our performance is showing, on average, 15 to 20 seconds. So that's the most time it will take. The call to the PSAP will actually connect in about 4 seconds. But then it just takes that extra bit of time so the operator can actually hear what's going on, and you get that horrible noise that you'll hear this afternoon, that you know the data is coming. But it takes somewhere between 15 and to 20 seconds to receive the actual data itself. Now, Marcel has already shown you this photograph. And this is just to show for the regulation where we are now. So, left-hand side, the car. The amendment to type approval has to be completed very soon. The draft, I'm told, should be ready in January. Has to be ready by the very early part of next year. Otherwise, the vehicle manufacturers will not be able to achieve the necessary engagement with suppliers to allow them to tool up and fit the in-vehicle systems. Mobile network operators, that was a done deal. That was agreed in September 2011. And for the PSAPs, that common directive was issued on the 26th of November, as in the presentation from Emilio. So there is one more piece of the jigsaw to come. So that's really enough about eCall now. Where could eCall go? eCall currently must be a separate unit. It has to be a separate in-vehicle system, separate from everything else that's in the vehicle. It's been done for a reason, and if you wish, I'll talk about that later, but it was done for a specific reason. But where could it go to? Already, plans for the next generation of eCall are underway. It will be an open platform, so you won't need 2 GPS aerials. You won't need 2 network access devices. It will be one platform. So that opens up a whole new world of connectivity to the vehicle. So it must evolve. So to conclude, eCall will come to Europe by 2015 or sooner if the aftermarket devices take off. The legislation, as you've seen, is moving forward now. We have one more piece that needs to be concluded. Then everything else will fall into place. eCall will evolve. Back in 2011, I was asked at a presentation whether I thought eCall was the killer application in terms of achieving connectivity for a vehicle. As it stands now, the answer would be no. But with the next generation of eCall, the answer without doubt would be yes. But the other point is this. Whilst we understand the conventional use of eCall, we know what it can do. It will save lives. The other question is, what else can it do? What other uses can we make of the data and the accuracy of the location and the notification of an incident? And already commercially, insurance companies are looking at this. Road network managers are looking at this. So there is an awful lot of work to be undertaken to yet really understand what other benefits can be gained from the deployment of eCall in Europe. So you can see them all coming together. But above it all, the hero projects will bring this all together, ready for 2015. Thank you very much for your time.
アンディ・ルック様、どうもありがとうございました。